Today on Artifactually Speaking, I am Iron Man. I'm Dr. Brad Hafford, archaeologist at the University of Pennsylvania. I'm excavating here at the ancient city of Nimrud in northern Iraq. I'm going to talk about a particular object that is related to something that I've already talked about, our somewhat missing door. We do know it's there. We've got a great deal of evidence, and right in here on this floor we were excavating and we found a charred beam, a post. It's the door post itself. Even in its charred state, it's 15 centimeters in diameter, and we had a chunk of it that was more than a meter and a half long. So this was substantial, and it had fallen far out, so there was a lot more to it.
Including an ivory knob that probably sat at the top of the doorpost like the finials shown on reconstructions of the Balawat gates. The finials found at Balawat were wood covered in bronze, but they were a relatively similar shape to ours.
And it had fallen apparently from the gate post and then hit the floor as it was burning. And it had a whole lot of metal straps and fittings and decorative elements to it. I talked about some of the copper ones, and we've been finding a lot more of those that have figural decoration. There are lines of people who are carrying things probably into the temple as offerings.
And as we cleared the floor of the gate chamber, we found more complete scenes on some of the broken bands, including a stack of them showing horses led by soldiers. These scenes are similar to those shown on the better preserved bands from Balawat, where gates were excavated in the late 19th and mid-20th centuries. Balawat is near Nimrud, was occupied in the same general time period, and Layard found similar door bands at Nimrud itself.
But today I wanted to talk about things that were found right on that post, which really show how different this world is from what I've been digging in the south, and mainly because of the time period. Remember, we're up into the 9th century BCE, and that's part of the Iron Age, and what we've got here are iron brackets that were around that post. So this one has quite the curvature to it. It was all the way around, and if we measure the interior diameter, it's about 18 centimeters, so a little bit bigger than the burned portion of the post, but that tells us that the size of it was probably about that. Now, this one has badly corroded, of course. It's also burned. There's a whole lot of charcoal still fused to the iron. Some iron is a lot more poorly preserved than this, but this one joined together into a band, and we have a portion here that was inside the wood, or probably nailed into it, and then this held it, and that was the swivel. It probably needed iron because it was stronger. So the iron was right on the post, and then there was copper or bronze that was all decorated, sheets that went further with a lot of door nails that held it all together. But this was the core of the working element, really.
The Balawat gates didn't seem to have these iron fittings, but were more thoroughly encased in bronze. The one excavated in the 1950s by Malawan still had its copper fittings around the base of the door in place on the floor, showing that one door was open while the other was closed when it burned. The iron fittings we have at Nimrud were found around the middle of the fallen doorpost, indicating a need to reinforce the central portion. Perhaps two beams were joined into a single doorpost here.
And we have found other pieces to those fittings, and some of them show just how substantial this was, and they have large nails in the ends, and the straps come to a bit of a curve at the end here. So they are, well, you can see badly burned, but we can still see the shape, and we can still tell a lot about how they were made, really, and what they did. So all of this fascinates me because it is the workings of something that has been destroyed. But we can learn a lot about it, and we can maybe even start to rebuild it, or at least draw it and show what the grand entryway into this temple looked like. And I'm not even sure that this was the grandest, really. The one on the east that was excavated some time ago had giant winged bulls, and the one into the cella had giant lions. We thought perhaps we would find some here. So far we haven't, but they still could be there. So iron, it's a different technology than the Bronze Age, of course. It takes higher heat, it takes more flux agent. You've got to work with it a lot in order to make iron successfully. But they were doing it now, and that was part of the might of the Assyrian Empire. Well, hopefully I can do some kinds of drawings and show a little bit in the video of what I think the door might have looked like and how it all worked.
We don't have our reconstruction drawings yet. Artists and conservators will join us this coming season. But there are drawings of the Balawat gates, and a reconstruction is on display in the British Museum. It is quite similar to what we believe we have here at Nimrud.
But I hope you've enjoyed looking at this iron bracket with me, and I hope you'll join me again next time on Artifactually Speaking.